Classy Climb blog, coming to you on a Tech Monday. I reached into my bag of tricks and I asked everybody, could you come by? Could you visit the Classy Climb just for a little bit? Because we all want to know, how do we get into tech in 2020? So many people are complaining about losing their jobs, but guess what? I'm in Austin, Texas, and people are actually coming here being hired. So I brought the best and the brightest in tech that I could find, and I got them out here today, and I want them all to introduce themselves. And I'm gonna start it off with our newest host, Keep It Techie Josh, and then we're gonna go to Mr. Chris, and we're gonna let the lady of the hour introduce herself. But go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's Josh. I run a YouTube channel called Keep It Techie, where I basically talk about the Linux operating system, as well as I do live streams, interviewing different people that are working in the tech field, and so I can, just get information from other people on how to actually get into tech. But I've actually been in the tech field for over 10 years. I've worked in different positions: network administration, system administration. I'm currently working as a database administrator. I've worked on government contracts. I'm currently working on a government contract as a database administrator. But I'm just hoping I could bring some value to the tech panel. But thank you for having me, Erica.
For sure. And Mr. Chris Johnson, coming out of California.
Thank you, Erica. My name is Chris Johnson. I am been in the tech industry for about 25 years. I started jumpstartitacademy.com to help onboard other professionals who may not understand the industry. And what I do is essentially give you a tour of the industry so you understand how the industry works, and you'll understand what you can do, especially in times like these where people are so focused on specializing in IT, but they don't take the time to step back and realize how the IT industry actually functions. So they're seeing all the glitter and the gold, but not realizing the pitfalls that could end up, in their direction or in their path. So that's what I essentially do. I take people by the hand and I walk them through, whether it be coaching or whether it be courses or whether it be through books.
It's my go.
You do it, girl. It's on you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jihana. I am your cybersecurity expert. I've been in cybersecurity for over 11 years, and at this point, I've transitioned from military, government, corporate to now doing it for the everyday person and business owner. So I educate people on the importance of cybersecurity as it relates to their online activity and how to better protect their information and data. And I do the same thing for small business owners because we're literally one click away from being hacked, and nobody seems to know this. So I take the time to just drop the gems and share the information and tips and tricks that you can do to protect yourself online.
All right, listen, everybody, there is 79 people in here. I'm expecting 300, 400 like yesterday. So if you could drop a 1 in the comments if you like this Tech Monday, because I know you guys be asking these questions when they ain't here, and I don't be knowing the answer. But drop a 1 in the comments. And I want to thank Gabe A for the $20 super chat. He said, oh, dope. You got Keep It Techie in here. This is going to be fire. Salute. So speaking of cybersecurity, I had to tell you, like, my staff to this day is like, Erica, you better come with some better passwords. What, girl? How we guessing your passwords? We only work here 2 months. So I need you to come to the office in Austin and do a diagnosis here. You need to fix all our passwords. I see in the coming years, because everybody's supposedly home, even more cybersecurity issues, right? Because everybody's using their home computer.
Right.
Kids on it. Your son looking up who knows what on the computer. Your daughter shopping on China markets with the computer. What are some ways people can get into cybersecurity? So, because they hear it everywhere, but I don't think they understand what it is.
Right. So, okay. So cybersecurity, just as simply put as possible, is protecting your computer, your data, your servers, your all of your technical, or I guess your devices, anything that you use to get on the internet or conduct any sort of technical activity. it's the practice of protecting that. Yeah, the beauty of cybersecurity, which is why I am like more so like outside of this being my career, just an enthusiast about it, is that there's so many different little pockets you can get into that you don't have to be this one thing. So I've done penetration testing, but I've also done auditing. But I've like there's forensic, there's all these different aspects of it. So my way of getting into it wasn't I guess the traditional way. I actually started in cybersecurity through the Air Force, and they pretty much, I went in there to do military intelligence, and then they were like, no, we're going to train you to do this. And so it was kind of like the cart was before the horse, because I was doing the job and didn't do any of like the technical expertise. So after I did this program where they pretty much teach you everything Linux and or Unix and Windows, and it was like, hey, you need to learn a little bit of everything so we can figure out what you're into. I did that, and then I pursued my degrees after the fact. So for me, it was more so going through the military and then taking it professional by getting the degrees and the certs afterwards. But for anyone who does not have that option or is not willing to pursue that option, I would always, always, always recommend there are boot camps. You can do it the academic way. I highly recommend boot camps, because essentially that's what I did while I was in the military. It was them giving me a hardcore 6 months of like, you will know everything computers till your brain explodes, and then figure out what you like to do. So I'm a hardcore advocate of boot camps, and then certifications. And if you want to pursue it through your bachelor's or associate's or even master's degree, do that too, because I've done it.
So part of the reason I bring on Mr. Chris Johnson is he's the prime example of someone like you, military, then move and guide through the industry. And Chris can even show you all the different components. See, a lot of times people just go, I want to get in cybersecurity. Then they get in there and they're like, I don't like that. And then they want to go over here, I want to do this. I don't like that. Oh, that requires math. I don't want to do that. Right. And then so that's why I'm always directing them to Chris, because Chris, you've had a really great journey with tech industry.
Yes, I have. I started off in the Air Force as well, and as your guest could attest, that the Air Force, the military, it's a great place to start. It's an excellent foundation. A lot of people don't have the privilege or the luxury of having a foundation like that, and that's understandable. So what I do at Jumpstart IT Academy is I teach people how the industry functions. In other words, I tell people this: find your gift, something that you're naturally good at. Okay. Once you know what you're naturally good at, then you want to add a skill to that. Okay. Once you add a skill to that, then you want to focus on specialization. So essentially, what I do is I tell people this is how the industry functions based on your gifts, what you're naturally good at. Some people are natural leaders. Some people are good at speaking, communicating. Some people are good at writing. In other words, do an evaluation of who you are, and then start understanding the industry, so that when the industry goes up or the industry goes down, fluctuation or volatility, then what you'll be able to do is stand firm with what you bring to the industry, and you will have already thought about the maneuvers you can make, especially when the market is in a situation where it is right now, where it's very vulnerable. So what I do is I teach people the different career fields that are out there, so they can take an assessment for themselves to determine what it is that they would like to do, whether it's tech writing or whether it's cybersecurity. As your guest had illustrated, that with cybersecurity, there's so many different options. So what I tell people is that if you go into the industry just with these glossy eyes of, oh, I know this friend who makes it a six-figure, so I'm going to go and do this, you may end up in a situation where you could be making six figures, but you won't last that long. The reason you won't last that long is because you don't have a solid foundation. So what I encourage people to do is, and I put it like this: the start of your start is more important than your race. So I put out a free course on my website, jumpstartitacademy.com, and it's basically how to fast track through IT. And I show people the layers or the levels that it takes to succeed in IT. Instead of just looking at IT and just saying, hey, I can go here, I can make some money. Well, yes, you can, but is that your purpose? Are you in an area where it will benefit your gifts and highlight some of the abilities that you would have to maneuver should the technology that you did specialize in and you had an interest in goes away. Because right now there's certain needs in the marketplace that are leaving simply because technology is changing. So what I like to do with people is to get them to focus on their foundation. And what I want them to do is have the ability to be able to create your own path, meaning understanding how the industry works, knowing how to create your own curriculum, learning how to, I have a learning method that's proprietary that I use for over my 20 plus year career that allowed me to self-study and teach myself anything. I can teach myself anything. So my learning methodology, what people can do is learn how to create a curriculum, use that learning methodology to figure out what they want to learn, whether they want to go to college, whether they want to get a certification, as your guest said, whether they want to get a degree, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a plan. And once you have that plan and you start working that plan, you won't be subject to whims. You know, basically, oh, cybersecurity is a hot thing. Let me go study that. You can just spin your wheels for years and not build a solid foundation simply because you're chasing money, and you'll end up in a situation where you're making over six figures, but you get fired and you only had usability within that particular company instead of having a function and a usability basically for the whole industry, so that if you do lose that particular job, you can go down the street. So what I teach people is to have a long-term view of technology, and I give them that foundation that they require so that they can take their gift, add a skill to it, specialize, and thrive in the industry instead of surviving or chasing shiny objects.
For sure, for sure. So, Mr. Keep It Techie, welcome to the Classy Climb. You know, these back here are distinguished guests. They've been here, you know, they've come out to the panel. Break it down a little bit. What are you doing in the tech industry?
Okay, well, I can kind of, I guess, piggyback off of these guys. I've never worked in cybersecurity, so I don't have much background in cybersecurity, but I do agree with what the last host just said about understanding the foundation. And that's one of the things you really want to hone in on is understanding the foundations. And I try to push people toward certifications. Certifications are key. You know, they'll set you apart from other people that are trying to get into the field. And like if you go to, let's say, CompTIA's website, I know they have a track plan. You can start off with the base level cert. I forget what it's called. It's IFT, I believe, or something. And it's a foundation cert. Well, it kind of ties to cybersecurity as well. You have to understand the basics. You can't just hop in and say, I want to protect, let's say, a company's network when you don't understand how networking works or the concepts of networking works. So that's why, I try to push those foundations. Yeah. I mean, if you want to, yeah, it's it's an exciting field. You got your red teams, blue teams, where you're defending versus, actually doing offensive security, you know what I'm saying? And so you just have to understand the foundations before you get into that part of it. So that's what I can add at this point.
So part of what I would love to, have you noticed the swing of, I would say this, when somebody kind of culturally cool comes out in something, then everybody's like, yeah. And so last year I went to Afrotech and I was like, oh my God, this is like a backyard HBCU cookout party and everybody's all excited about tech. And it's almost like we have to make careers super cool for people to be interested. And Josh, is that kind of why you started the YouTube channel, trying to like kind of draw people in a little bit to it?
Yeah, and see, and really my YouTube channel kind of stemmed from a hobby. And I never thought I would be mentoring people. I used to mentor people a lot. I just didn't call it that at the time. I just looked at it, I was helping somebody. So, in getting into different fields. So whether it's military, because I'm a vet as well. I served 14 years in the Army. And, once you start getting rank and everything, it's all about taking care of the soldiers underneath you. And so that's pretty much essentially mentoring. So helping people with resumes, you know, helping people with family issues, all those things, you know, kind of it ties into, you know, mentoring and helping people. So the channel kind of morphed into that later on because I mean, I've always been interested in Linux and privacy, maintaining your privacy, you know, using Linux operating systems as well as free software. That was another thing I wanted to bring up. They have a lot of free software that you can, you know, do a lot of the same tasks on like a Windows system. Like, for example, Adobe products. If you're trying to get into graphics design, they have a program called GIMP. Yeah, you can use it on Windows, but you know, it's a free and open source software that most people don't know about. And so it started, you know, kind of morphing into that. And then I started hopping on O'Shea's panels, talking about, you know, how to get into tech. Yeah, on the Hall of Games.
Yeah.
But yeah, just helping people get into, you know, just putting the information out there, whatever knowledge that I had, that I could bring, you know. So and then that's why I started, you know, started the whole because I saw that a lot of people didn't have people were just talking about it, and yeah, they were in the field, and I'm not saying, you know, there's nothing wrong with just that one person talking about it, but people want to see a variety of different people with different personalities. And so that's why I wanted to start bringing other people on that work in basically what you're doing right here. But people that I've worked with, like when I worked in Afghanistan on different projects, just bringing in people to bring in their own expertise and knowledge, just to let people, give people information on getting into the tech field.
So part of why I like putting these together is, one, first, thank y'all all for your service. See, what I say is my mama did 26 years, so she did my 4 already. See, I don't have to do no more because she already did me. Okay. So, but I just want to laugh because Big Willie gave us a $5 super chat, and the first thing he said was, "Oh, Kimmoy, you got your headset on, Kimmoy?"
I can hear you guys, but not through my headphones.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you for a second. So part of what I was gonna say is, Big Willie Style said $5 super chat. Let our people know, thank you, but I'm still gonna blow my first big check on that Dodge Charger. You know, I was reading someone's post the other day about the military, and you know what I did? They were like, "Oh, the military is not great. You know, it's not helping our young people." And I completely pointed out to 3 or 4 of my videos with you guys, saying, "Look, these people went in the service. They got something out of it. They're making crazy money. I'm about to call Miss J so I can get a loan. You know, all this stuff. She got the monies, okay? Like, they're coming out of Air Force with skills, and it all depends on what you're going in and as your mindset. Do you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of it has to do with people's mindset. If you're coming in to ride the Dodge Charger and look nice in the uniform, you're going to miss the whole lesson that you're supposed to leave with a skill, you know?
And to your point, Erica, that, like, for me, that was pretty much the mindset I went in with. Like, I was like, all right, this is not going to be my forever thing. So let me make sure that when I go in there, I'm doing something that translates well when I get back out and makes sense. So it was kind of like, I spent 7 years in there, and every single move had to be strategic. It was like, all right, make sure I get this degree, make sure I get something that makes sense, that is going to be lucrative on the other end. And it's not to say that other careers, you can't turn them around and do something with it. But even with taking the ASVAB to get into the military, it was like, all right, my score needs to be high enough so that I can do certain things. So it's pretty much been strategic from the beginning, and it has paid off.
So part of the big reason I want to bring you on is I want to put names to faces. You know, so many people go, well, I don't know any Black people in tech. I have never met a Black person in cybersecurity. Oh, you know, people in tech are all nerds or weird or something. You know, they always have these weird excuses. And I'm like, no, these are everyday normal people. You just don't know nobody. That's all you got to say. Just say you don't know nobody. Just say everybody you know work at Chili's, and let's be done with that, right? So part of what I want to bring y'all on is, what made you want to share? Did people start reaching out to you? Did people start being like, hey, how'd you get that job? You know, what was it made you want to start sharing?
Well, for myself, I always consider myself an ambassador. not only did I focus on my specialization and similar to your other guests there, when I went into the military, I was really strategic. The same thing I'm teaching in Jumpstart the Academy, the same thing I did for myself. I completely focused on my college degree. I got my AA or my associate's degree when I left. I was certified in Microsoft when I left. I was very strategic. I knew what I wanted to do and I was very driven. And not just specializing for myself and ensuring my own success, but I found myself when I was, working these jobs that I would mentor other people because I had integrity not just for my field in terms of network engineering, but I had integrity for the IT industry itself. I consider myself an ambassador of the IT industry, meaning a gatekeeper. So what I want to do is I want to choose and select the people who come into the IT industry because I saw so many people that I didn't want in the industry. I'm just being honest with you. So my focus is, well, if I'm in control over grooming these candidates, then I will be able to form and shape someone who would be ideal, someone who would have the wherewithal to be able to withstand the storms and the good times. Someone will have the foundation, meaning the technical foundation. When you're in the IT industry, especially when you get to the highest levels, whether senior engineering, the foundation becomes so important because when you're troubleshooting, you're in the room with system engineers, network engineers, cybersecurity engineers, all these different professionals, business and technical. And if you cannot see IT through their eyes, then you're going to run them over and say something unwise. Therefore, you're going to lose credibility yourself. So, what I stress, and the other host mentioned CompTIA. The next courses that I'm going to deliver are going to be mirrored after CompTIA. All those technical foundational courses I'm going to be delivering. I'm finishing a foundational course on business. It's called Quick MBA for Tech to give you a foundation understanding of business. Because when you're in the room, you're going to be in the room with business people. They're going to be arguing from their own perspective. So one of the things that I look at in the IT industry as far as what caused me to want to give back to the industry is seeing the weaknesses and the gaps in candidates. Like working with a guy who's making six figures, I sought to mentor him. He ignored me. This guy blew up the network one night, and the next morning, my IT manager comes to me and said, "Hey, that guy's gone." And essentially, he blew up the network with, the same reason that I was seeking to mentor. I'm saying, "Hey, this is how you do maintenance windows. This is what you need to do." But he felt, "Hey, I'm making six figures on tough stuff." But the problem was his ability to communicate and or lack of communication, lack of leadership. You think, oh, it would be something technical. So I saw these things several times over and over and over. And so it made me want, I already had the desire, but it made me want to groom other candidates so that they would be sound and ideal. When I studied Steve Jobs, one of his complaints when he was talking to Obama was the lack of IT professionals in the United States. Like, so he was going outside to recruit them. What causes that lack? It's gaps in foundation. People not taking the foundation of IT serious and just focusing on, one thing. Whereas they need to be overall. If you look at LeBron James, he can play just about any position, but he plays, forward. So that's the same way as the IT industry. You need to be able to play all positions in terms of understanding it, but actually specialize if you're the shooting guard, specialize in shooting.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people in Austin that since I've lived here for about 7 years, my friends will go from one company to another to another. Their title sometimes changes, but they're just sliding like this. Like they're still laterally moving, but just different companies. And I noticed that comes from just networking with friends. Now I've got a serious question. What is it like to be a lady in the tech industry for my two ladies on the panel? Hit it.
You know what? Honestly, you have the responsibility of representing your ethnicity and your gender when you enter these rooms that are predominantly white male. And what my experience has been was you get all different kind of characters. You get, like, if you find a black guy that is on your team, he kind of like looks out for you. You might find that one or two black women that you can kind of like click up with. But then for some instances, my experience was white males, they will be your advocate, but you have to prove that you know as much as they know, or you can do what they can do, or you know what I mean? And then sometimes white women have given the same or have been very combative in that way. So I feel like for me, it was kind of, if you were quiet, you needed to learn to speak up real quick, because you do bring something that's different to the table. We don't all think the same way, and we don't problem solve the same way. And especially as a cybersecurity analyst, you're constantly facing a problem that needs to be fixed. And so I feel like I don't think like you do. You don't think like I do. I need to add my special sauce to this and be unapologetic about it. Obviously not overly aggressive where your message is getting lost, but you definitely need to speak up and say, no, I don't think that that's okay. Or this is another way to approach this issue, and kind of take that with you everywhere you go. I know, like my last work role, my manager was just,
Oh my God. Skynet got you. Wait, Jihana, Skynet got you.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, Skynet tried to take you out.
You guys hear me?
You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're fighting the Terminator over here.
My bad.
Yes, you're back.
I have no idea. But he was like, well, women aren't really built for this job. And I was just like, are you joking? Like, we're investigators naturally. This is what Black women do. If you want me to find some tea, I can find it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's really knowing what you're good at and playing up that skill. So I have the education behind it, but I have like a investigative nature. And so when it's an instance of social engineering or figuring out how to access something, you know, maybe I know how to do that. And I need to be okay with saying, I know how to do that. Let me do my thing. So that's been my experience with it.
Kimmoy, how is it being an islander in America?
Oh my gosh.
You want to let me in my phone? I get nothing.
Which one? Oh, wait. Okay, you have two. Which one do you want me to let in? The one we already have? Can you hear me, Ms. B?
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Go ahead. Keep talking. You got it. Come on.
Oh, okay. All right. First of all, hi, everybody. Excited to see new faces, especially with melanin in tech. So I'm excited. So being an islander is always, people tend to be fascinated with that for some reason.
The one we already have.
Okay, yeah. So I tend to use it to my advantage, you know, whatever makes me different.
Hold on.
I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know about you guys.
It's you, boo.
It's me?
No, it's Jenna. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm gonna text her.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, I think being an islander, like you have a different point of view with things, you solve problems differently, you bring a fresh perspective to certain, you know, issues when it comes to tech or anything else. But in general, as a woman in tech, I would say it's more so just making sure that you're heard, of course. Everybody knows that, especially in Silicon Valley, they love talking about diversity, and the actions don't really match the words. They have been trying to figure out this diversity problem for years, you guys. It is so hard. We can go to the moon, but we can't figure out diversity in tech for some reason. So it's one of those things that I would say I got jaded by it really quickly, because before I was so involved with all of the organizations to have these conversations about diversity and, you know, sharing ideas and how you can bring more people into tech, but it kind of goes nowhere, at least for the most part. So I think we just have to do our part and do platforms like this and share our story and our experiences and inspire other people and just do the work ourselves to get people into tech and not necessarily rely on a corporate organization to do the work for us. So that is what I would say. And I am that Black girl that will gravitate towards the next Black girl or the next Black guy and make an alliance. So I'm not the one that's going to be quiet, keep to myself. I will go and make friends with people with melanin. It's just natural. I can't help it. So, yeah, that's been my experience.
So, yeah. So keep it techie. The reason I want you to come on this panel, because I was thinking you done did all these years in the military with them knuckleheads in the Army. Because, listen, we said what we said about the Army. You already know we ain't got to talk about it, but God sharpened city up in the Army, okay? So look, what made you segue or switch? Because there's a lot of people in the audience today, and that's going to watch this. Listen, people watch these videos months after. You can tell Kimmoy, Chris, they be getting sales in the middle of 2 a.m. Somebody's going to watch the show in the middle of the night, wanting to change their adult life. What made you switch that way, start turning that way?
Okay, yeah. So I guess when I graduated high school, I did not know what I wanted to do. And I'll be honest, I was just a regular guy, C average student, didn't get any scholarships. I did okay on the ASVAB, not like you guys, y'all probably scored pretty high. So I just hopped in the Army, and that's the thing. I didn't even know. Just like anybody that's young, I didn't know what to get into or what to even go into, and I end up being logistics. So it's a 9-2 Alpha, which is automated logistics specialist. It's basically glorified warehouse worker, so to speak, doing inventory and all that type of stuff. But anyway, so after I got in the military and I guess I got some discipline, you know what I'm saying, and all that, I decided I wanted to try and go to school. So I hopped into one of those small programs, technical schools, where they kind of rip you off at the end of the day. You spend a lot of money on those, degrees, and then come to find out it wasn't even fully accredited. So I didn't have I didn't have much,
Wait. You went to Donald University?
Nah, I went to it was Remington College. So I know you guys probably ain't heard of it. It's like a ITT technical or something like that. Well, anyway, so I got a little associate's degree, and the only thing I could think of, I remember doing a lot of stuff on computers because my parents was fortunate enough to have a computer when I was growing up. So I used to burn CDs, and all that stuff. But anyway, I decided to go into that program, and that got me into IT, really. So I finished that program. Once I finished that program it was a networking program, I got my associate's degree, and I ended up I left Louisiana, which is where I'm from, and moved to Las Vegas. And as soon as I moved out there, I got a job as a network administrator. And that's a really big jump. That doesn't happen nowadays based on what I've seen. You don't just hop in and be a network administrator at a job. So that happened for me. And so I did pretty good, just following the books and everything I learned in the school. And let me clarify this. I wasn't active duty in the Army. I was reserve. So I did, 14 years reserve time. But I did deploy to Kuwait, Afghanistan. So I went over there, but just to clarify that's how I was able to work a normal job. I had to, and that's one thing another thing I want to bring up to people, you don't have to go active duty. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I want people to know. You can hop in, get the same training, same discipline, same schooling. What's the other stuff? The GI Bill, all the perks that you would get on active duty, other than the steady paycheck, as a veteran in the reserves. So
weekend warriors, we need y'all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's how I got into IT, and I just kept going from there. And one thing about IT, once it sinks its teeth in you, you know what I'm saying, and you find a area that you like, it's gonna cause you to, you know, start doing things outside of work dealing with IT. Like that's how my channel started, you know. I'm constantly playing around with Linux. I'm constantly playing around with Windows, messing with my wife's computer, you know, trying to, you know, try something on hers to get it to run better, you know, just tinkering with stuff. Once IT sinks its teeth into you, you just gonna start laughing every day, like Dion Lightfoot says. I follow him as well. So, but anyway, that's that's all I got to say right now.
So you be tearing up your wife's computer. We got it. We put no. Everybody, don't leave your computer at Keep Techie House. It's gonna get towed up. Okay, noted. Nah. Now I really think that's amazing because see, like I keep telling people on the channel, if you drive by ACC, which is Austin Community College, because y'all literally be emailing my staff, what does ACC mean? They have a free network administrator degree here because they're so short staffed here. And like even a funny part I was saying, if you have social skills, you have a place in tech. So my friend worked at Dell and was trying to get me on a job as basically a social chair. I was basically going to have a job, $70K a year, to plan parties for the tech people to interact with each other. I kid you not, to plan charity golf events and tech parties. And I was like, I was on YouTube like, look, if this YouTube don't come through, I'm about to go be over there planning parties for $70K a year and say right, I'm in tech. But that's why I'm saying there's a lot of money out there in this space that they're even trying to make their workers happy at work. I mean, imagine that, a company that's not trying to go, I don't care what you want, right? I'm gonna give y'all an example. Like at our garage, the bathroom doesn't even have AC, so the guys go in and go out, right? You gotta hurry up because it's hot up in there, you're gonna faint. Imagine that. You can't even have that at a regular workplace. All the tech companies I know are trying to give you some days off, give you some time, some packages. They're fighting for the smart people to come through. And again, it doesn't mean you're a genius. It just means a person who can do the ability to do the job. I think a lot of people are scared away from tech because they think it has a ton of math. Miss J down there, we're going to unmute you. Okay, you better be good. You better do right. Now, you can't have a tech panel and my tech people tearing it up with feedback. I mean, you can't have me out here looking like this. Now, what I'm going to say is, all right, I'm getting ready to unmute you. Are you ready? Are you brace yourself? Okay. Okay, are you ready?
No feedback. Sorry, I had to switch from because my phone, they kept calling and then it was going to mess up. So my bad. Which brings me to another point. IT, cybersecurity, I still take my computer to somebody else to get fixed. I don't know what to do. So there's that part. You know, we're all like, we all do our tech thing, but I couldn't code my way out of a box. Okay. So that's the whole, you know, piece to that. But yeah.
So the only reason I think cybersecurity is so exciting is I think everybody's experience where somebody's hacked their Facebook or their Instagram or their Twitter, and that's what they associate it with, is something being hacked, or a gas station hack, or you know, Visa hack, or Capital One. I got a brand new Capital One card because they got hacked. You know, I think that's what people think with social cybersecurity, but there's probably so much more to it. Correct?
Yeah, 100%. There's like, I mean, think about it. There's EDiscovery. If you're going to court and you need to prove stuff, you need someone who can decipher what they're looking at. Law enforcement uses it all the time. Like everything, as long as you have a phone in your hand, you use a computer for something, even the back end of things that you don't even think about, like half of the people don't even understand what servers are or what they do, but those need protection too, right? I think the thing about cybersecurity is it sounds way more ominous than it actually is. Like, just as much as you have a door and you would put a lock on the door, or you would put a security system in your house, or you would have a gun or a dog, that's security, right? So it's the same thing that you would do with your computer. Like, if you're going to be online, if you're going to bank online, if you're going to download apps, if you're going to go on social media, there's a certain amount of digital hygiene that you need to have. And I think what I'm trying to do is make it as common as you would lock a door or roll up your window or, you know, close something behind you. You would do the same thing with your security, because the problem is, as technology progresses, it's only going to get more complex in what you're giving them and how they're sharing it. And if you don't even just do the basics, that's how you get hacked. Like today, I posted about Cash App and the scams on there, and I'm not even telling anybody anything crazy.
Girl,
Set up an alert so that if a transaction happens on your bank account, you know about it. That's cybersecurity. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's not super technical. I think the problem is we think with computers, it's like, well, I'm doing this here and something magical is happening in the back end. No, it's not magic. Like, you have to, you know, help me help you. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm telling you, hey, this is what's going on, do something about it, or this is all I need you to do on your end to help me protect you, help me out. You know what I mean? So I think I'm trying to like break it down into little bite-sized pieces so people understand that security is layered, that it's a part of everything you're going to do, and it's only going to get more complex from here. So do your part so I can do mine.
So I think of all y'all on the panel as little pieces of parts, right? So Jihana is talking about cybersecurity. I think about all the times my crackers want me to Cash App them, and then the same breath they talk about they be losing their wallets. I don't know if lot lizards are still in their wallets, but I'm just saying, I be like, cybersecurity, okay, y'all got problems over here. Then I think about tech writing, how Kimmoy is actually teaching people how to write. Like if I say I have a problem, I don't understand something, or I don't understand how to do this thing on an app, well, there it is, tech writing, right? So then I go over here and I'm hopping up the chain, and the two guys at the top of the panel, I mean, it all plays into each other, but they're completely different careers.
Yeah.
And so I want people to really start thinking of tech as it's just like breaking it down in simple terms of it's a great job opportunity and we shouldn't be overwhelmed by that. We should embrace it because it's really the future, honestly. Techs and trades is like neck and neck. Part of the cybersecurity thing is people are like, where do they start? Right? Like, where do they start in the cybersecurity chain?
I kind of see cybersecurity as liberal arts at first, right? So it's kind of like, try it out in the most simplistic way. There's Cybrary, there's Udemy, there's a lot of places, online platforms that offer courses or just intros to it, and see what you gravitate toward. Because even for me coming in, I was like, I'm not a forensics person. I don't want to get down into the hardware and the software of everything. But being given the opportunity to dibble and dabble and see what I naturally gravitate toward, what piques my interest, is a whole lot easier. So I would say really a Google search, Udemy, Coursera, there's tons of things that allow you to just open up your mind to it, and then you can dive deep down into it, because there's so many places you can take cybersecurity. It's not a one-stop shop. And I think boot camps help do that too, because unless you know the specific one you want to get into, try an intro to cybersecurity. I even know that SANS offers them. Now, SANS is way more expensive. So, I mean, unless you know you want to do this, I wouldn't spend that kind of money. But it still gives you the intro to, okay, well, is this what you like, or is this what you like? And then because like I said, I don't like coding. I don't like certain things. But what I have gravitated toward, the reason why I enjoyed pen testing is because there was a lot more creative to it. It was like, okay, how do I leverage what people would normally do on the day-to-day as an access point into figuring out how to get into their system? And you wouldn't even think that that was a thing until you're introduced to it. Okay, well, these are different types of attacks and there's social engineering. So how do you combine the two to play on human weakness, right? Not that this is a good thing, but I'm saying like, that's just what piqued my mind and my interest. But some people, if like we talked about before, if you're already a lawyer, if you're already an educator, if you're already an accountant, take that thing and pivot it to what you can do in cybersecurity versus saying, no, let me leave this behind and do something else, because there's all these access points, right? These certifications, I feel. So for me, I did once I figured out what I liked, then I did certifications to build on top of that. So then I did Security Plus, and then I did my CEH, and then I kind of went from there. So I would say with cybersecurity in general, do the intro, figure out what you gravitate toward, try different avenues, see what doesn't work for you, and then once you know what you want, hone in on that. And then there's certs and there's steps and there's all sorts of things you can take from there.
So someone said in the chat, what's a good certificate to get in a short span of time? I have an 18-year-old son with a short attention span. So that's why I typed in, call Chris Johnson, Jumpstart IT. Like, let him peruse all the things that there are to offer, because if I just say, hey, join Kimmoy's class or join this class, I would be doing him a disservice, right? Because we don't know. Thank you, Apple Mac. People be putting, listen, y'all go ahead, pay attention in description. We got them discount codes, hit them codes. Okay, that's all I'm just saying. Jenna, I also have yours down here in the your cybersecurity. It's in the here, down here in the description. So if anybody, the mods, if you see it. So part of why I want you guys to start talking to people, because Kimmoy gonna make you good to work. Like if you try to take Kimmoy class, you're gonna have to put together a portfolio. And could you guys at the top speak on how important a portfolio is, even in your careers?
Yeah, I can kind of speak on it when it comes to getting into learning how to code. And one of the things I like to push people into is actually creating a GitHub, because GitHub has a lot of applications that other people have written in different languages. You can get examples on how to actually understand the language. Of course, you want to take a course or something so you can get the foundation of how to actually write the language. But that is your portfolio. Once you have a GitHub, you can contribute to different applications out there that are being written. You can filter by the coding language that you want to look into. And I always tell people, you know, once you got a good portfolio, because that's basically what that is, because you could track all the code changes that you got accepted to whoever, you know, developed the application. Then that's tracked in your GitHub account. And you can also have all your applications that you've written, and you put that on your resume. This is a link to my GitHub, where I've written applications using Python, or I've written applications in Java. So that's, you know, a great way of creating a portfolio is using GitHub. So I try to push people that way. I don't know if you have anything else, Chris, you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, as far as programming and coding and things like that, you can easily display your work through something like that. And I understand, I guess, Kimmoy offers an avenue for you to put together a package. What me, as far as the level where I'm at in terms of being an executive and having interviewed IT professionals and choosing and selecting talent, the IT industry is about proving yourself. You know, many people ask questions as far as some of the myths of IT and what are some of the hurdles or entry barriers. Really, first of all, you got to deal with your own issues, your confidence, and you have low self-esteem, because the opportunities in the IT are just endless. So the opportunities are there. Just get out of your own way. So the IT industry is a result-oriented industry. If you're concerned about, like you had mentioned, the Karens. I've dealt with Karens at this website, whatever. That doesn't stop me from being a senior level engineer, because when I go into the room, I'm the only IT engineer. I've been in the IT engineering field longer than most people in the room. So since it's a results-oriented business, if you can prove to the industry that you can produce results, when it comes down to it, when you hit the room, I'm not going to tell you about the issues of getting into the room, because we all know that there's going to be some issues cracking that barrier. But once you already entered the room, then if you can already, the interviewing, and if you can prove that you have the skills, that you have projects that you've done before. I mean, for me, network engineering, people ask me questions when I was interviewing and basically said, hey, how do I know that you can do this work? And I would say, hey, did your 911 calls work? Because, yeah, I was that whole team over there, in LA County or whatever. So them that I was, basically taking care of the entire 911 system. So if you had no problems with 911, your city was getting newspaper reports of 911 not working, then if you can prove to the industry that you can do whatever it is you say that you do, and your value is solid, and that's the type of professionals that we want. People that come in and have heart. But the problem is people come in and want to make money. That's cool, man. The money comes with it. But when you come in and you want to make money and you're working on a project and somebody has to cut that red wire about the bomb will explode, man, people are sitting there sweating, but they don't want to do it. And that's just, it's counterproductive. These are the type of people that will sabotage the work and do all sorts of political tricks because it's not honest. What I want is professionals that can produce, prove what they can do, so that they're not concerned about these political games that some people play to make up for what they lack. I'd rather be working with somebody that's about their business, meaning the gentleman was talking about having a passion for technology and starting tinkering. The thing about technology, if you're really about it, you'll be curious about it. I mean, to this day, I would love to just put up networking maps and just start doing labs and stuff like that. I mean, I would do that, to be honest with you, I would do it for free. That's how much fun it is. If you're in IT and you got that attitude and you're doing something that you know you would do for free, like honestly, like I know I would do networking for free, you're in the right spot because you're going to succeed because your passion is so hot, it'll burn through any adversity.
So y'all, that's me over here. My office is like super echoey. So whenever Chris is talking, I have to mute myself, right? Because he got that "What's up, girl?" talking big voice. You know what I mean? So I got to mute my microphone because this air machine is so loud in here. I apologize. That was me. The host is I was making fun of Miss B earlier, but it's not her this time. It was me. Part of I know they're so mad. Okay, part of the reason I really like y'all being on here is I find it that so many young people go, well, I didn't know this existed. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like people that look like me are in that career. And I just want to say, when I bring people on the show, is to say, hey, you see it exists. There's no way you can make it up for now. So, yeah, my mic is picking up all kind of noises in the background. I apologize. Part of what I'm hoping to do with this summer series that we've been doing as far as tech is somewhere near the time Afro Tech would have been on, is we do a bunch of Afro Tech little mini, shows and panels. What's something encouraging right now? Because it's Rona, and people are trying to figure out what to do in this season of Rona. What can they be doing to prepare themselves? Each one of you explain in your career field, what can they be doing to prepare themselves to get a job in that particular field or in general?
No, it doesn't matter. I go right fast. Well, I guess one thing I could say is going towards those certifications, training, constantly training, because that's one thing you have to do when you're working in the field. You constantly having to do training. And so that's one thing I would recommend people doing. And I wouldn't fall for, well, I don't know what everybody's thoughts are on that, but they have financing on CompTIA's site for certifications. You could pay for them. You could finance the certification. My take on that, I wouldn't recommend you financing it. Just, with the money you have, pay. I guess you could pay. I don't know what the fee is, but you can. I'm trying to think of the websites. It's a couple of training websites, like, Udemy, that's one of them, but it's another one I was thinking about. But you could pay, small fees for the training and do the training, and then save up your money. Hopefully, during the next, I guess, money people may get, if we get anything from the government, however that's working, then, you can possibly pay, if you have some extra money, pay for a certification at that point. But I wouldn't recommend financing, putting yourself in more debt to take a certification test. Just spend little money for the training, you know, up front and get proficient in whatever certification you're going for, and then pay for the training at that point. So that's my recommendation. You guys go ahead. Thank you.
All right, I'll go next. So I will say to do research on the jobs that are available right now. I would say if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn, even just to begin your research. You could start with your city or the nearest city or wherever you want to work, and start seeing what recruiters are hiring for right now. So in my course, I have a spreadsheet where you can do research on different types of jobs that are related to technical writing. There's technical writing, there's content strategy, there's user experience writing, there's many different job titles. So I would say create a similar spreadsheet for yourself, do some research in your city, see what they're hiring for, look up those job titles, look up the job descriptions, and see what the requirements are. And if anything intrigues you, if anything is like, okay, I think that will be cool, what are the requirements? And if it says you need to have a portfolio, start working on a portfolio. If it says you need to have a certain certificate, start doing some research on what it would take to get that certificate. So literally just use LinkedIn, start doing research, be more strategic. I don't think there's any reason why anyone should have a job that's paying less than $50,000 in 2020. So, you know, there are higher paying jobs out there. So start doing research. There is something out there for everybody, I think. There's so many opportunities. So yeah, just be a little bit more focused based on what is available, and based on what's available, see which one matches your interest the most.
Adding on to that, I feel like Google and YouTube are really your friend too. There's a lot you can learn without having to spend anything really. And I think it also will be really helpful to doing that, because you kind of will be able to decipher what your interest might be, and then you can hone in on the things that that matter. When you go to like to Kimmoy's point, when you go looking for a particular job, then you narrow it down. Okay, they want me to have this or know this or be able to do certain taskers. But before then, be able to speak to what it is that you want to do. I know for me, because technology is what it is and it's always changing, I need to be up to date and stay in the loop of what's going on. And a lot of that is open source information. The news, follow certain tech bloggers and things like that, because I think when you're also well versed in a topic, even if you don't have certain things in particular to on your resume, if you have a knowledge, understanding, and can speak to it, that also makes a difference, right? Your resume will get you in the door, but then how you articulate yourself and communicate your baseline knowledge and understanding of concepts sometimes can be what differentiates you from the next person. I know for me, when I would do interviews, it was like, okay, well, it's understood. We all have these certs. We all know these things. But then when I got into the room and they would give me situational questions, if I wasn't aware of what's going on and what the latest trends are or how people are handling things, that could have been the difference between me and someone else getting a job. So I would say being able to just be well versed in whatever it is that your interest is and what job you're pursuing.
Okay, so I add my input. Essentially, the word that I continue to hear, which is trend and pattern, is research. In the Fast Track to IT course, I've done the research of major IT certifications, major and our top degrees that you can have. Also, I heard someone from the panel mention not neglecting what you come to the IT industry with, which is why I say do an evaluation of your gift. So what I do is I teach people all these top different fields, different degrees, different type of jobs that you can get, the salaries that you can get from them. like if you're a nurse, you know, I heard someone put some text in there talking about nurse informatics. In other words, do an inventory of what you're coming to the table with. If you come with nothing, if you come with something, the Fast Track to IT course will essentially give you a tour of the industry so you can see these professions, so you can see the nature of their job and what they do. I've been in the IT industry over 25 years, so I've been in the room with a lot of these specialists from the lowest to the highest of levels. So what I do in this course is give you a scenario based on me being in a room with these people and my different interactions with them and their expectations for me, the other professionals in the room, and also from themselves. So what you'll do is you'll be able to get a lens to figure out and sort of imagine yourself and visualize yourself. Could I picture myself being, you know, someone who is a nurse who's doing informatics? Could I picture myself being a network engineer, a software developer? Because what I showed you is the different, basically the like a job description of what these people would do, their expectations, and also the salary that they would be paid for that. So that's in the Fast Track to IT course. Also, I assist people with getting a degree. I got my college degree in 6 months, and I show people how to fast track through college. And I recommend you take the how to fast track through IT, which is a free course, which shows you the levels. Because I explain to people there's levels to this game. If you hear people on the panel, they've been in the field for quite some time. And you'll realize that even when, you know, Jihana's talking about cybersecurity, I mean, she's just like, there's so much that you could do. Well, if there's so much you can do in cybersecurity, what about network engineering, system administration, software development, DevOps? You got all this stuff that you can get involved with. It would be wise for you to just step back, you know, and take advantage of the research that's already been done, kind of evaluate the industry, because you don't want to invest time, energy, and money peeking into a particular area that you thought you would be interested to, and then 2 years later you figure out, nah, that's not what I want to do. 2 years, probably $10,000 to $20,000, when all you had to do was just sit back, sit down, figure it all out, plan it out, and then start executing. And now you're doing that intelligently. You're being very strategic about it, and this is where you position yourself to have a solid foundation to be able to build a large structure. This will give you what, like, for example, if you admire people who are in the IT industry, such as the people on this panel, you would look at them like a large, beautiful building. Well, in order for that beautiful building to be standing, it had to have a beautiful structure. Nobody wants to talk about that, right? I talk about it because I stress it, because it's highly important, and it's something that's neglected because all you simply see is the large, beautiful building. Well, I'm telling you, in order to have a large, beautiful IT career, you need to focus on a large, beautiful, solid structure, the foundational knowledge, both technical and non-technical, meaning business, and also IT. So what I'm going to be delivering is like I said, CompTIA courses give you a foundation of, let's say, cybersecurity. It's basically giving you a tour of all the skills. So when you evaluate these skills, you'll be able to decide where you stand. You may look at network engineering and say, let's say you start the course and you say you look at network engineering, you're like, I'm not really interested in this. I'm interested in cybersecurity. I'm interested in technical writing or project management. Well, at least you got a chance to peek through without investing like $10,000, $20,000. And that's the whole purpose of it, is to save yourself some time, energy, money by just sitting back and thinking instead of just jumping in to, you know, paying $10,000, $20,000. So that's what I offer to the people in your audience, and that's what pretty much I offer the world. Is my gift is I understood the IT industry because I wanted to go to the top of the IT industry. I didn't just want to be some technical person. I didn't just want to be some engineer. I wanted to have the skills. If I need to be able to sit in a boardroom on a board of directors, if I want to sit and be a manager or VP, if I want to just sit in a room and just be an engineer and tinker with toys, I wanted to be able to understand the whole industry so I can onboard people, mentor people, coach people, and train people. And that's pretty much what I do at Jumpstart IT Academy.
Okay, hi, I'm back with all my loud background noise. So, thank you, panel, for being here, you know. Foundation's important. I love all of you guys because you all bring a different perspective. Earlier, someone asked, is Kimmoy going to forever be in Mexico? Because she's been in Mexico for months now. And that brought me to my next question, work-life balance please, people have this ideal that everybody's in Facebook all night long on computers, getting black dots under their eyes. Please explain to the audience your work-life balance. Any one of y'all take it off. I would like all of y'all to explain us your work-life balance. Thank you.
Okay, that's too funny. I am not coming back to the States in 2020. Okay, so let's just make that clear. I'm scared of the Rona, y'all. I feel like I work a lot, so I don't know if I have a good work-life balance. It's something I'm still working on. Plus, I'm very entrepreneurial, so I'm always like trying out different ideas and stuff. So I do have the dark circles under my eyes because I'm up working all the time, but I like what I do. I have one major client. They're a credit union. So they have been doing a lot of work with the PPP stuff. So they have some instructions for financial software. So I'm the one that's responsible for writing those instructions. So it's a lot of work for me. But yeah, you could have more than one client if you want. I think someone was asking about if it's independent contracting or employee. You will find both opportunities. A lot start out as a contract. Sometimes it will have like a 3-month or 6-month contract, and then you could become an employee. I choose to work for myself, so my own business, but there's flexibility there. I haven't seen too many freelance opportunities lately. It's usually like full-time, like they need someone to be there and do, a significant amount of work. So it's not something you can do like a couple hours a day. So, yeah, that's what work life. And then of course I have the beach, it's there. And I go every once in a while, but yeah, I still work a lot though, even though it might not look like it.
I'm right there with you, Kimmoy. I pretty much live with my computer in my lap, so I don't know about very much balance, but it's also because I enjoy what I do. So it's kind of hard to feel like I'm not balancing it, because if you enjoy what you do, you don't ever feel like you're really working. That's not to say that it doesn't get a little overwhelming. Sometimes it does, but the satisfaction from that is so much greater. And, I'll have my computer on my lap near the pool. So I feel like, with my feet in the water, so I feel like I'm doing both, but probably not. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not really good at that balance. So this is probably not a good question for me. But no, you know what? That's a lot. Because when I do need to stop, I stop. But I mean, I don't. And I'm okay with that.
Wait. Girl, stop. You was just down there getting crunk in Florida 3 weeks in a row. At the pool.
Snippets in time. That's what I was doing in between those moments. They literally came in and was just like, gosh, I've seen you like with this computer the whole time. And then I would put it down, record, and then go back to like my computer. So I mean, I have fun. I enjoy what I do. So if it's with my computer or some sort of device in my hand at all times, I'm okay with that. But when I do vacate, I vacate. So that's always a thing too.
For sure. I saw you. There was a couple clips of you, like they came by and you had like 3 laptops in front of you. I'm like, girl, you can't even work 2.
Yeah, like no,
stop. Go ahead, Chris, or you guys up there, or Josh.
Well, I mean, I just thought. I mean, it's the same thing for me. I'm constantly on my computer, all the time. I'm either tinkering with something, but I do have, wife and kids. So one thing I do is I take out time to try to get them into learning. Like, for instance, my youngest son, I'm teaching him not really teaching him, I'm putting him through some training that we'll teach him how to code games, and it's so he can get a foundation of coding, and that's something that he's interested in. I didn't just push him to it. And then my oldest son, he likes the graphics design stuff, so I've been working with him, teaching him, Blender, which is the 3D modeling application, free 3D modeling design, as well as GIMP as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm either working or making videos, so it's spending time with the wife and kids. So that's me.
So for myself, I'm an entrepreneur myself. So what I typically do is I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur. I put my life in the center, and everything else goes around it. I do tend to find myself working a lot, but my motto is always be learning, always be growing, always be becoming, and always be imagining. And what I find myself doing is always working, because I'm in that constant cycle of becoming dynamic or changing. And it's what I want to relay to anybody else seeking to go into the IT industry, because in the IT industry, you're always learning. It's a knowledge economy. So you're going to need to acquire and assimilate and absorb a whole lot of knowledge. So you need to be passionate about what you do, because you're going to be in that either nice blue ocean or nice green swamp. And you get the choice wherever else where do you want to spend your time? You see most of the people on the panel, they spend their time in a nice clear blue water, so they don't mind being in a nice clear blue water. They find a place in IT where they have a passion for it, where they have a constant drive. So for myself with network engineering, I could do that all day, any day. It just doesn't matter. I would lap out all day and I would forget to eat. I mean, that's just the way it is, because it's like video games, just totally fun. Like, why would I stop doing that? I mean, think about young people playing video games all the time. Well, network engineers like playing a video game. If you're telling me, hey, what about your life balance? What balance? I'm having fun. So I think if you find something that you're passionate about, then when you have to learn something overnight or take on a project that requires you to study 10, 20 hours a day, plus do your job, then you'll be in a situation where you're just so passionate about learning and growing and becoming and imagining and applying whatever's new and staying on the cutting edge. It's so competitive, but it's a fun competitive, because you are fighting against your own potential. You're not working. You're not fighting against somebody else, because the library is always open. You can always be studying at home or go to the library, and so you can always be learning and learning and learning. And there's some people that don't need to learn. So my objective is, as far as life balance, life work balance, find that for yourself. I know for myself, I position my life where I can stop working at any time, and deal with life or whatever, because I make life more important than work. And I find myself working most of the time because I live a good life. So I think that deals with whatever your philosophy is, however you want to view your life, but do understand you only got one life. So you might want to invest it and think about how you want to invest it, and don't live your life being scared. Oh, what if I fail this certification? What if I do this? Or what if I go to that job and I can't do it? I didn't know anybody who made six figures when I made six figures. I was like, how in the world am I going to survive in this environment? I was a mentor. I didn't know nothing, right? I just went in there with whatever caused me to succeed beforehand and just kept having fun with it. And that's pretty much how I see it. Don't be afraid. Just move forward, because even if you fail, get back up, do your thing. Life goes on. I mean, my goodness, you didn't die. You failed the certification. You didn't die. Do it over again. Revamp, reskill, and do it all over again. But have a blend that you're comfortable with, because it is your life. And consider time more valuable than money, because there's a lot of people who pass away and had a whole lot of money. Guess what? You got more value than them. I can't hear you, Erica.
Sorry, Apple Mac, they've asked us like 2-3 times. Have you guys ever thought about coming together with like-minded people and start your own tech company? Like the superpowers unite together? Because they've asked it like 3 times. I'm trying to make sure I read some of y'all questions. Y'all be in there in the thing coming at me. I hear you. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm reading it. Kimmoy, did any of y'all thought about creating some kind of tech company?
I have thought about starting a recruiting company to get more people into tech. But I would need help. So yeah, I would definitely need a team of people to make that happen. But as far as like creating a product or something, not quite. I've definitely designed some features on applications I've worked on, but like coming up with my own software, I haven't thought about that. Not yet, but I would love to collaborate for sure.
So I just was going to say that some of y'all had asked, Eric, I would love to hear a recruiter. Like, I want to hear a recruiter. Let me go ahead and tell you right now. I have a friend who's a recruiter. He looks like he smokes 27 packs of cigarettes, okay? But he recruits for he recruits for sales. But let me just be very clear. A recruiter coming on here would only come on here if I was talking to a tech audience. Just to be really honest, y'all. A lot of times recruiters are going to tell you the same thing these people are telling you. You need to have a profile, a portfolio. You need to have some stuff, because when they get on LinkedIn, and half the people I talk to ain't even on LinkedIn, right? So when they go on LinkedIn, they type in the search bar, they do certain type of things that scrub LinkedIn. I think it's one called D7. It's a couple other different tools they use to scrub LinkedIn and get that information. And that's how they reach people. So if your LinkedIn ain't on point, if your portfolio ain't on point, like me being a recruiter on here, they're gonna be ill with me. One, and then two, they're gonna tell you those two things over and over again. But I will try to find somebody for you lovely people who are asking in the comment section. Was there anything I left out today, you guys? I mean, is there anything you guys want to leave the audience with? You know, we've been on here an hour. You know, I know y'all famous and stuff. I don't want to eat up your whole night, but you know.
Well, one thing I can say right fast before y'all hop in, most of us were vets. So one thing that I guess we didn't highlight, anybody that's in the military, just try to get a clearance. That will help you a long way, especially getting into certain industries like the DoD. I got a clearance, and that's opened up a lot of opportunity for me if I didn't have that clearance. So if you in the military, try to get a clearance before you get out, because it's hard to get one once you get out. I mean, you can get it, but the problem is the company has to pay for it. The DoD, if you get it while you in, the DoD will pay for it. So that's just one tad bit I wanted to add to anybody that's out there in the military or trying to, you know, get into the field with military experience.
To your point, I had that clearance, and honestly, I ran away from the jobs that required the clearance, because, you know, to have a clearance and carry a clearance, best thing ever, right? It's almost like you go to do an interview and they're really selling themselves to you versus you being the one applying for this job. But then I also realized that I kind of use that as a security blanket, where I didn't even realize that there's so much opportunity as well without it, that pays well, that does all of that. So I think, yes, if you can get that clearance, you just pretty much wrote your ticket to anything and everyone, because it's to the point where it's like you have a clearance and they're like, hey, just come, like, we'll figure out how we can use you, you know, whether they really can or not. But I will also say, if you don't have that, that's okay too, because of this industry. You can find your way into anything. And I will say, like, even for me, if I'm 1,000% honest with you, I didn't think that tech was something that I would have been interested in, had the capacity to do, because it was just like, at the time, like most people, I was like, well, I don't know anybody who does this, you know, in high school and stuff like that. And I even remember going back to my high school and kind of being like, I remember I walked in for a career day and they were like, no, the person who does tech is supposed to come in here. And I'm like, I'm her. And they're like, really? And so I think part of it too is what this panel is about, is normalizing what tech looks like. No, we're not all in a basement drinking Mountain Dew all day with like no windows, right? Like, we have lives. We're I mean, this is a very melanated panel. Like, we bring our special sauce to whatever we do too. And I think once we kind of get out of that stigma of tech is for them and not us, or it's hard and it's not this, or just let all of that go, kind of pave your way, find out what you like, take it and run with it, because really it's almost that simple. I feel like if you find the part of it that you like, and you kind of do your due diligence and do your research and just kind of fake it till you make it sometimes, in the sense of, if you feel like you already own that space, then you own that space. If you let it all get in your head of like, oh, but tech is this and I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to do that, you've already pretty much cashed yourself out of a very lucrative industry, strictly because of the way you told yourself that it was versus what it actually is. Because I'm sure if any of us came across a person who was interested in, needed that guidance and wanted it, we would help. I think because it's so few and far between that we're seeing each other, we're well, I mean, I know I would overextend myself to try and help somebody getting into it. So don't think so hard about it. Like, it's not as hard as you think it is to get in, whichever way that is.
So I just want to say it's okay to start out in a more junior role, especially if you're switching careers 100, like doing a 180. So start looking at some of the more junior roles, and again, just do some research on what the requirements are. For all the people that love writing, if you love breaking things down and making them easy to understand, this skill set is applicable to all industries, not just tech. So that's like one of the biggest misconceptions about technical writing. It's a skill set on how to write instructions. So all of you guys that's watching on YouTube right now, all the text that you see on the screen, everything from how many people are watching right now, all the, the tabs that you would see if you clicked on your profile, the name, the settings, the help center, all that stuff was written by someone. Typically, it's a technical writer or a UX writer or a content strategist, so many different titles. So if that's something you are interested in, then I would invite you to consider my course. I also have a free email series so you can do some exploration and get more familiar with what we do, how much we get paid, and what kind of skill sets you would need. But don't be intimidated by the titles. Like I said, just start doing research and seeing what they're hiring for. And if there's a junior tech writing role or just one that requires 1 year or 2 years, I walk you through how to kind of do research in your own career, because I can guarantee that probably 80% of you have done some sort of technical writing on your job before. You just don't know it. So yeah, just wanted to leave that tidbit with you guys.
Yeah, I want to address that question earlier, as far as, did you want to start a business or something like that? My vision for Jumpstart IT Academy is to morph into a tech incubator. What I want to do is create, basically an army of IT professionals who have a sound understanding, who specialize in something, and who also have a knowledge of entrepreneurship and love entrepreneurship. And basically, the program that I'm creating, the Quick MBA for tech, it can teach them those business skills to be able to generate the ideas that will be required for an incubator. And what I want to do is just basically create a mastermind and just take those ideas and essentially take investments that I have in other areas and invest money into that, to have a place where people can think and explore and just basically test the boundaries of technology. No different than what Steve Jobs is doing at Apple or anywhere. You have to picture yourself in understanding that the same technology that everybody's using, we have access to, okay? So the same imagination that they have, we have, okay? So just get a space, start thinking and start imagining and start creating these products. And what we visualize, the only thing that limits you is your imagination. Once you're skilled, once you understand what you're doing, it's your imagination. That's the only thing that can limit you. And also, just in terms of thinking, hey, what tech people look like, and you know, the stereotypes of technical professionals, I want you to look at it like this. When you think of Will Smith in Men in Black, you know, he said, I make this look good. And I make that point to say this: if you're not corny in whatever it is that you're doing in your life, if you're not corny, guess what? You won't be corny in IT. You're not going to bring corniness to IT. You're going to be cool. You're going to be the same person you are. You're just going to troubleshoot and be just as cool as you got out of that knife fight, that gunfight. Just as cool as you got out of that, you will be just as cool getting out of a troubleshooting situation, sitting there working 12 hours. I was stuck in a building in LA one time. Man, this lady said, "You're not leaving." You know what I'm saying? Because if payroll isn't done tomorrow, we're going to lose a whole lot of money. I didn't leave. I was just I brought it. You know, it was no different than being in a bad situation on the streets. That's this, you just got to bring yourself and everything that you learn from every part of your life and then put that in the same situation. It's just that you're not going to be killed. You're not going to go to jail. Okay. It's just that simple. So get rid of whatever stereotypes that you have or whatever your projections are in terms of how you view people in IT or even yourself. Guess what? If you're cool, you're going to be cool in IT. You just want to make it look good. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Also, I think last show we talked about don't worry about fitting in. Okay, you come to work. You go after work to do what you want to do. It's not always about trying to make friends at work. And so I just wanted to bring that up. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to go to work and be the only person there. That ain't got nothing to do with my paycheck. I'm sorry about you. Okay. So listen, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for letting me steal an hour and 30 minutes from your afternoons. I know Kimmoy and Miss B is on the beach somewhere, but you know, whenever we can get you from your beach life, you know what I mean? Thank you. I appreciate you. Mr. Keep Techie out there about to go to the nightclubs in Las Vegas, get the slot machines pulled, you know, Chris out there about to go to the beach in California, and I'm here at the office in Texas, and it's still 90 degrees outside. So if I can borrow y'all in the future, I would gladly appreciate it. Everybody, all their classes are underneath the description, and their discount codes are always CLASSYIT. So if you guys will, thank you for coming. Thank you for being on the show. And everybody, their links and their Instagrams are in the description. Show closing. Just tell everybody bye, each one of you, and where they can find you. Kick it off, Kimmoy. Tell them where they can find you.
Oh, keepingupwithkimmoy.com. That's where everything is. That's where I'm at.
I am Jihana on all social media platforms, so you can find me there.
And I'm Keep It Techie on all platforms. You can find me there.
You can find me at Jumpstart IT Academy on YouTube as well as on Instagram and on Facebook.
Miss Jihana, is it Jihana, correct? Am I saying it right? You know, I've been all day long fighting not saying Jadeno. You know, that guy every time, I'm like,
I know.
Do it. Hold yourself back. But you know, I couldn't do it. So, all right, everybody. This is your girl, Erica from the Classic Climb blog. Thank you guys for being here tonight on a Tech Monday. You guys have a beautiful evening.